Welcome to the Life and Leadership Podcast, where we discuss business, leadership, and friendship. I'm Zach Gable.
And I'm Jared Toach. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Life and Leadership Podcast. We are here today with Shawn Collins from Extend Group. And Jared, how's everything going over there on that side of the room?
It's good. We are doing a morning recording,
Yeah.
which is, or morning-ish.
Late morning?
Yeah, late morning, mid-morning, which is different.
It is.
Usually I have an energy drink in front of me instead of a coffee, so you know it's morning.
Yeah. And we are in downtown Evansville, and we have some windows. It's actually a pretty day outside. No snow on the ground right now, so it's going well. So we are here downtown at 530 on Main, the Extend Group. Shawn Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Founder of Extend Group. Thank you for letting us use your studio here. And for the next several months while ours is being, we may be renting this one.
Did you know
The
that?
more the merrier. No, that's what this is for. It's been a community space, and there's been multiple podcasts that have kicked off here. So that's,
Yeah. Well, thank you for allowing us to use this room.
Absolutely.
And thank you. We've been trying to have our schedules line up to get you on the podcast here for a while. And I met you, I guess, a little over a year ago through a B&I group.
right.
And we kicked off. We're both car lovers.
Yes.
And I actually saw your car parked outside earlier. Love that thing. But anyway, I think you were the first one in our B&I group that I went and had a one-to-one with.
Okay.
And so anyway, yeah.
Makes it easier when we have that connection around one,
Yes.
one common mindset of,
Definitely.
392 Hemi. Okay.
I love the way they sound, too.
Yeah. Nothing better. You don't have, sorry, Mustang people, you don't have to go and change out the exhaust. It already sounds good.
That's true. That's true.
You just went viral. We're going to have all kinds. We're going to have the pony.
Oh, yeah.
Pony Express coming after us right now.
We're a target now. Well, Shawn, if you don't mind, just tell our crowd a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, about the Extend Group and everything.
Yeah. I just always like to introduce myself as first a believer, a husband, a father, a founder of an organization that's been around 17 years, and then a community advocate, really. And the first one being the most important. Wouldn't be able to be where I'm at today without that faith and that strong, let's just say, standard to live by. And then I'm a husband. Melissa and I have been married over 20 years. My soulmate, she's a creative connector, and I'm a creative pioneer, so we're on the different ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. She's the social, she's the E, the extrovert. I'm the introvert, and it's worked out well to be able to have your weakness on the other side of you, lifting you up. We have two wonderful children. I have a 15-year-old daughter, McKenna. She's of all things. She's an amazing artist, and she is an athlete. She's in a musical for the first time. She was in speech for a while. She's just well-rounded, and really, right now, I think she wants to be a lawyer. But maybe the theater thing she might get a little more of that bug. Dad keeps pushing all the sports, but it's not my life, right? And then Bailey, he's 19. And he's in Fairfield, Illinois, playing baseball. The only thing, that's his mission. He grew up with a baseball in his hand, and he's over there playing JUCO baseball now, looking for the next stop, but working really hard to be where his feet's at, and know that if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. Kind of mindset. Both of them went to Memorial, and then Extend Group. We've been around for well over 17 years now. We started as a white labeled digital agency. You hear that a lot today. In 2007. In 2007. I worked at multiple agencies and knew that digital was the way in which everything would travel to. Mm-hmm. All destinations led to some type of digital input. And at the time, we were still very much a traditional like, hey, print's important, these brochures are, and it's all very much important. But the final destination of where do we get the most impact and where do we get the most stickiness is really online and who has access to it. Back then, not everybody had the iPhone, and the iPhone hadn't even come out yet, so it was kind of or any smart device. I don't want to be Apple, you know. I don't be an Apple promoter here. I'm not getting paid here by Apple, but
We've already lost the Ford.
we've already lost
crew. Now we're losing the Android.
Now
crew.
we're out. Yeah, so it's kind of funny how the marketer thinks. The marketing side. But yeah, the Extend was really, it was Extend Interactive, extending your interactive capabilities for agencies who didn't really want to invest in it yet. Like, they knew they had to have it as a support mechanism, but I don't want to have this, like, the overhead. We don't know how to make money at this yet. So I just saw it as an opportunity. Number one, I couldn't be in a constant box that was like pushing, like, okay, every minute of your day is going to be like reviewed, and like as a creative pioneer guardian, I have to know that I have some space, and I have some, not only the responsibility to do my job, but the authority to do my job and help shape the way the team and the vision goes. So when it's not yours, sometimes, that I was a young creative pioneer, and I just said, no, this is not the way. So I started a company with basically a 2-year-old, jumped out, no salary, nothing in the bank, and said, let's go. And we started serving multiple agencies in the region, and then we were basically, they would give us their proposals, or they would give us the introduction to their client. We would listen, we would educate, and then we would deliver.
It's amazing how much a passion will allow you to make that leap of faith.
It was just like, this can't not work. Like, if you really know what you do, and you know how you do it, and you know who else can help. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing. I had been building as much as I'm not a connector, is what Giant tells me, is I'm always trying to figure out what piece and part is going to make us better. And that's really the pioneer side. But long story short, like, I had 40 different individuals or companies that we repped out of my house in Evansville, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And we were working for companies through agencies like, Bayer Oncology, Brown-Forman Spirits Americas, like some of the biggest brands in the world. But the agencies didn't understand, like, the level of which we needed to really know what it is that we do or how we do it, so that we communicate expectations clearly and then be able to define where that vision's taking us, but have a mission to get there. Mm-hmm. So I just was, I listened, I educated, and I delivered. And every step of that was, listen, go back to, or be in the home office and concept what it is, build a plan, build a strategy, and then get it to the teams. It lasted white label for about 4 years, and could have continued to own this building if I just kept doing that, right? But it was, no, the IP that was there, the intellectual property and what we were actually handing over, and the amount, like, the ability to grow. No, we just said, no, we're going to be Extend Group, we're going to be direct to client, and we really want to be able to serve the person that I'm really talking to, not selfishly, but in a way that removed barriers, that removed constraints of I'm in a very much a place today and then was nothing to prove, nothing to hide, nothing to fear. Mm-hmm. And if I'm doing it, with the client instead of to the client or for the client, there's, expectations are seemingly, transparent. And with some of those relationships, it didn't always look like that. Mm-hmm. It was, we have to protect this side of the business or that side of the business, and this is going to take a chunk out of that budget. I'm like, okay, let's just have the honest conversation and ask. But we've been through all of it. We've been through how do you build an HTML website? How do you go, like, Macromedia Director? Remember when you had CD-ROMs for education? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you plug that in with Director. And then video content. We went through social. But today, I love this word here, coach. I've learned a lot in my life. I have really a story that is much like a lot of other people's out there. It's not, we've had some great times, we've had some hard times, and I choose to look at, it one of two ways. I can learn what to do from certain individuals and what not to do from others, and just take that and grow with it. So I got introduced to Giant Worldwide 5 years ago, and it helped me restructure everything because I thought holistically everyone wanted to run through the wall to get to a vision.
Yeah.
And they would work 72 hours like I've done in the past without sleep, and done it multiple times, and stay up all night long and just crush it to get to an end result of we won an award, or we launched this in a time that no one else was ever able to do it. Mm-hmm. And I ran teams like that for a long time, and that was the broccoli in my teeth to go, everybody wants to do that, but quite frankly, I only represent 3.6% of the population. So Giant helped me understand the broccoli in my teeth. We'll talk a lot about self-awareness today, and from my point of view, that's where a lot of this sits, and what it's like to be on the other side of me. But then once I know the other side of me, and I know it really well, I have to know Jared really well, and I have to know Zach really well, and we have to have objective vocabulary. Like, we're in a world, right? It's labels or language, and I'm a language guy. Because if we really know what the definition and the terms really mean, these labels can go away. Mm-hmm. If I know Zach for Zach, and I know Jared for Jared, and I know who I am and where we stand, and if we're aligned, that's great. If we have disagreements, we don't. But labels, not language, or labels. Sorry, we can just we got to have a language that's that we all speak, not a label. We can't be walking around like I'm this color, I'm not like. And I mean red or blue, maybe, or whatever that looks like, and be able to clearly and transparently say, this is what I'm about, this is what I can put my time, talent, and treasure behind. Mm-hmm. And if I don't, it's like, I just hope you understand, it's not personal. It's just I'm on a certain path, and I know where my vision is and how my mission is going to drive me there. And Giant has given me the tools and vocabulary to be able to do that. And now I'm very much a coach, consultant, looking to launch a keynote and book and all those things, and really excited about what the future holds, because as much as I've been a doer for over 25 plus years, I so much now enjoy the who, not the how portion of, this is an amazing idea that you just came up with, creative pioneer, but unless you're going to give up another 3 years of your life, who's going to help you scale this mountain?
Yeah.
And who's the expertise, and who's the how, and how can we light a fire in them to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me.
That was a lot.
That was good. I was enjoying every minute of it.
Let me pause here, because you said something earlier that kind of threw me off a little bit. You said you're an introvert, and I've known you for about 15 months, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen any aspects of an introvert in you whatsoever. I've been to your lunch and learns in BNI every week. You were giving a coaching moment, a teaching moment, and I've never seen that quality in you. So
yeah.
So help our crowd here a little bit.
Yeah.
We do come across people that may have trouble with leadership, Jared, or share with us.
You're saying I have trouble with
No,
leadership?
no. I'm just kidding. I was saying people we've run into at some of the events
you can edit
we've
that.
presented that and everything. People tend to share that they may have trouble with leadership because of either being an introvert or just not being comfortable being called a leader, if you will.
Yeah.
And we always say that you're a leader no matter what, even if you are what is considered the entry level position in your company. You can be a leader from the entry level position and should be a leader. So we try to debunk anyone that says that they cannot or should not be a leader. So tell us how you, as an introvert, are able to stand up in front of groups at the lunch and learns that you hold here, and different events like that.
Well, I'm also curious, did that come about with Giant? But that's a thought that's running through my head. But
yeah, no. Well, we all have nature, nurture, and choice, right? And we have to know what fills our cup and what doesn't. We have to know what energizes us and what drains us. And the introvert side of me is very much how I recharge. The E and the I is really how do you gain energy back. It's all a rechargeable battery.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can do this for 4 hours. I could do this for 6 hours. I don't know that I could be. I could be. I could be like a Tony Robbins that goes like 70 plus hours and doesn't stop. But I would have to find some real intentional moments within that to recharge the battery. And it's really the gears in which, the extroversion, introversion is, I love being part of the introvert is I love being a self-learner, and I love doing things, hands-on things. Like I built my own outdoor kitchen, and like just all these projects that people go, how in the world did you do? I'm like, I just kept watching YouTube and then did this and then this. And then
I need your help at my house here this spring. Outdoor kitchen, that's one of my projects. So.
Yeah, so it's like I love learning things and then applying it, but then being able to talk about it. Like, how did we get to this moment? How did we get to this? And it does give me a moment of energy, but if we are really in the space of, I need to be on and be at the space of, just completely at this level for, let's just say, 10 hours, and I'm not behind my computer, like, hammering out code or in real content development of where's this idea going and the flow state. Like if I'm really I'm an INTP, so I have to listen to the challenges and be given the grace to be able to go on my own journey to come back with a solution. And I very much appreciate all the comments and all the exposure and all the ideas that are flying around. But if we're really getting objective and going toward, like, I need to be able to get to it. Mm-hmm. And I need to be able to see it. And I need to be able to touch it, feel it, like, move it around, and then be able to go. So the thing that energizes me about being an introvert is, number one, I don't really talk about what I don't know. And I really, like, almost to a perfectionist tendency of not ever really wanting to share it, because we talk about you talked about the who am I, the self-preservation. Mm-hmm. Who am I to really get up here and talk about, like, leadership? And, I come from a, maybe a middle or a lower class family, or, maybe I have a, checkered past or whatever it is. But like I said earlier, we have nature, nurture, and choice. Mm-hmm. Mm. And if we impact, like we've done in our former podcast, we did over 50 episodes. We weren't viral by any means, but I had one individual that sent me a text that was, 5,000 words. Like it was a book in a text on how that one podcast changed that individual's life. Wow. And then that just lit a fire that we have to do more. Yeah. So we're here to serve.
And all 50 episodes is worth it for
that. In all 50 episodes of, hey, we had 500 listeners, or we had 1,000 listeners, or maybe on this one we just have 5. But it's really the solving of the problem. Mm-hmm. And now with my 49 years going into 50, I've seen a lot of what not to do, and I've typically held that, I don't want to talk about this stuff. I really don't want to talk about, because I've made all the mistakes that all these people that I'm actually coaching are making right now. And who am I, you hypocrite? Like in church this week, that was the gospel. Who am I, you hypocrite, right? But if I'm able to save them from spending 3 more years or 3 more days, I'm solving a problem, and I'm willing to go here and be this passionate to be able to push this energy out, because I know there's going to be a moment where I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to go to first gear. Like this is very much a 4th gear, 5th gear moment of we're multitasking, we're in the zone. Like I can be in this, for 4-6 hours. And then I got to go back and go, okay, I got to do some reflection. I got to look at, where was I on? Where was I off? It's always I'm looking at the 10% that's wrong instead of the 90% that's right. But quite frankly, that's a lens that not a lot of people, and I'm blessed to have that, but I can't be so critical of myself that I'm not out really speaking what I've learned and trying to save that individual that's in that business moment, that's really risking their time, talent, treasure, and really the legacy of their generational wealth of their family to make a big decision that right now they're just not equipped to handle, and I have to be the one that tells them that. And sometimes that can get, in the good old days, that might have been transactional, like I talked about. Like, I'm going to lose a $100,000 contract if I tell them they can't handle it. Great marketing makes a bad product fail faster. Like, if you do this, your systems are going to be overwhelmed. Your people are going to be, like, there was a point where I didn't want to jeopardize the project for my people.
Yeah.
But now I'm more of an advocate for everyone, of like client advocate, extend group advocate, community advocate, because we're a culture first organization. Then we communicate, and then we build an intentional community around it. And the introvert side loves hearing that, because there's a process and there's a system, and there's I can give this out right now, but the team's going to give me the grace later to go in my office, shut the door, turn whatever kind of music I have on, and just recharge and be in my moment. But there was a long time where I had to do this because I had to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I had to feed my family.
Yeah.
As a consultant, you have to feed your family. So I would run long and hard weeks in and just be on the road and be at every trade show and walk it and meet all these people that, unless there was a business idea attached to it or a business contract at the end, it was a pretty transactional conversation back then. Mm-hmm. It was like, how big is the company? Can we get to them? Can I get to the key decision maker? And can I rebuild their website with their integrated catalog and attach social media to it, build 1,000 videos for them, and then build a content strategy that wins? And most of the time, it would have took most of those clients 10 years to achieve what I wanted to in one. Mm-hmm. And it came across that way, and I probably lost a lot of business because I wasn't self-aware.
Yeah.
But I was just fighting to save.
Sure.
Fighting to make the next paycheck, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But it's funny, if you don't know what you need instead of what you want, how far will that want take you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah. So the introvert in me it's been forced through nature. I grew up in a church, and we did a lot of singing and a lot of, and my grandmother pushed it. You have to know people. You need to make relationships. People don't buy products. Buy from products. They buy from people.
Yeah, and it was also a different world back then.
It was.
I remember of course, we grew up out in the country, but if someone drove by our house and we didn't wave, my dad would ask us, "Is your arm broken?" And he was not happy if we didn't wave.
Yeah.
So it was a different world back then. People were more connected personally rather than connected digitally.
Yes.
And I kind of miss it.
I do. I do.
I really miss it, actually.
It's very much a part of what I think. I mean, we're kind of on that. I believe, and we talk about it a lot through the coaching and training, that we're not we are a country that right now is built to still be in an industrial revolution that's long gone. Like we're built in a certain way to educate I'm sorry. I know we have educators in the room, but
this is a very strong passion of mine, because we have built our educational system off of something that is no longer existent in our world. So we 100%. Have industrialized education, and we do not live in that society anymore.
No, we're in a relationship economy now. There's just not enough people.
Oh no, that's a passion of mine, because I am very passionate about the fact that I think our education system, and I don't mind saying it out loud, it needs to flip and change, because we are raising the next generation for a society that doesn't exist.
Yes.
There was talk several years ago about what do you want to be instilling in that next generation, and it was about creativity, innovation, relationships, dialogue, all these things. But when you walked into the classroom, when you walked into the educational, they were built as industrial factories where you just manufacture product all the time. That's not, but they were going into a workforce that 100%, that's not what it was. It was about relationships and connections.
Yes.
And so they were not prepared to enter that. And I think you will see, Sorry, see, I'm getting off on
No,
a
I
tangent.
love it. Let's go.
So you enter a workforce that requires innovative leaders, that requires connection, that requires collaboration. If you want to make the next biggest product, the next biggest thing, it's not going to be the singleton person out there. It's going to take a team effort. It's going to take work together. However, the educational systems put in place are about industrialization, the product, getting it out there. So and you might cut this part out, but I just watched this video. It was very interesting. So this has to do with artisans, and Hermes is a big name in the world of fashion and all of that. But here a while back, they were sued because they were not delivering on a product that somebody that people were like pre-purchasing and all those types of things. And so people were suing because they wanted this product from him. And so I think it was 60 Minutes or somebody else did an interview with him and asked, they were like, what do you think about this? And he said, you are trying to apply manufacturing, because she said, if I ordered a Mercedes, I expect to get that delivered. He said, you are applying manufacturing techniques to an artisan.
Yeah.
He said, that does not work. He said, this is art that we are creating. And the same thing in the educational system. We are trying to apply something that it's no longer existence. It doesn't exist, manufacturing, to the educational system. It does exist. Manufacturing exists. But that's not what our economy.
It's a great livelihood.
Yeah,
That people can,
100%.
build. They can reshape a generational poverty by being in it, and it is very much needed. And it's just,
But if that's the majority,
Yeah.
that's the majority of what you're pumping out into society and into the workforce, like people have to get along even in a factory.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's right. And
Sorry.
that's so part of, we are living in the, we're past the digital. I mean, we're in artificial intelligence. We're in a lot, we got a lot of things that we have to, you can either be afraid of it or you can lean into it. And really we have all these assistants, but it just always comes back to why are we doing it? I can go and learn 6 more. I struggle with this. I could go learn 4 more AI platforms tomorrow. And I really do. I'm really accidental about, I heard, here's Opus Clip or whatever it is. And I want to get to know it. But now I'm I can see how that fits into my vision and how that can help me get more content out, and then how I apply it to but if I'm doing it, I'm not doing this. And this is the thing, and this is where I struggle a bit, is I prefer the introvert side to be behind doing it. I really, at times, I want to be the operator of my company, and I need to get out of my own way, because there's other people, if I really trust them and I know them and we have an authentic relationship, they're going to do it better than me anyway. And I just have this, it's the broccoli in my teeth. Jeremy Kubicek, that owns Giant, talks about it all the time. Why it's stuck in there, and how long has it been there, and why are people afraid to tell you that it's there?
Yeah.
Has it been there so long and it's stained, and and you got to start asking yourself some real questions, like, what relationships do I have around me? Are people walking on eggshells? Have I been dominating all the time? Why is it still there? I've been walking around with this for 3 hours, and whether it's my colleague Zach that's letting me do it, or Sandra, or my son Bailey, what is it? If you noticed it, why? And we have to kind of play it back and go, if I want to build an organization with big, massive scale, am I going to be the operator of it and try to be the one that pushes every button and empties the line and empties the trash and all that? There's a space in the world for everyone. And if we know everybody's intention and know what their why is and what that really means, not everybody wants to be an astronaut.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some people that, being that and being at the entry level, that's more than my family's ever achieved. And I'm happy to take that role, because I know it gets me to the next.
Yeah.
So once again, another rabbit hole.
I heard someone say,
I appreciate those.
Yeah, they're good. I heard someone say on Sunday, they had mentioned narrow-mindedness, and it got me to thinking. In fact, I text myself every now and then notes. I text myself, about narrow-mindedness in leadership, and how it can really hinder leaders. It can hinder teams. It can hinder those around us that we work with. If a leader has a narrow-mindedness towards, well, let's just say, an individual, and whenever I go to someone on my team, and all I ever want to talk about is work, and all I ever care about, all I ever ask about is, how is your production today? How is work going? That is so narrow-minded, and I'm never going to get to know the person, to get to know what really matters to them. But if I go to them and yes, work is important, we have to get it done. But if I find out what really makes their clock tick, what really makes them go, what makes them get up in the morning, what they're passionate about, it could be their dogs at home. It could be pickleball. I have several in the office right now that love pickleball.
Yes.
In fact, they bring their pickleballs and pickleball paddles to work, and if we get slow, they'll play in the basement. So, but what makes people go, and to get to know your colleagues, to get to know your team, will drive it pushes everyone. It helps you excel.
So in education, there's a term called social constructivist, and it's basically you are co-constructing knowledge and information with everything, like bringing your knowledge from the past, the people around you, et cetera. And that's also used in adult learning and adult education. And I firmly believe in the workplaces that they are social constructs. So like you are building together as a team. And when you build together as a team, like you get to know the person next to you, you get to know their likes, their dislikes, how they operate, and where their space is. And they get to feel comfortable in what space that they want to excel in, or that you would like for them to excel in, or that the best space in the organization. I don't know. That was just a side note I thought of.
No, it's actually, as you were talking, it came back to me, a conversation I had with someone the other day. I'm not going to say who it was. But they were in a factory here probably 15 years ago, and on a line. And he said he knew basically right away that it wasn't for him, because he likes to talk about X, Y, and Z. Those are the things he's passionate about. And he said, they would put someone next to me who did not like X, Y, and Z, and they wanted to talk about this or that.
Yeah.
And he said, if you didn't want to talk about X, Y, or Z, I wasn't interested in talking to you.
Yes.
And so, again, the narrow-mindedness of not being willing to have meaningful conversations, even if, Jared, you don't really care much about cars, but yet
I have learned about cars, and I will send you reels.
You'll sit there and listen to me talk about, this car that I'm dreaming of, that I really want to. And that's just part of building these relationships. There's, I hate cats. Now we've lost the cat.
Now we lost. Because now it's a lot of comments about how awesome cats are. Like, we will go to battle for cats.
We've lost Ford, Android.
We will go to battle for cats.
And I had a young lady, one of our office staff members. Her daughter was in my office yesterday, and told me about this cat and how it bit her and all this stuff. And I'm just having this conversation with her this whole time. I'm thinking, why do you even have a stupid cat? These cats are horrible. They're
those are fighting words.
All in joke. But anyway, all in jest. But Jared has cats, and so I joke with him quite a bit about, cats are from Hades. But anyway.
Really?
But our dog acts like a cat, so it's no better. It's, it's a little bitty 8-pound.
It's still an
dog.
animal. It's just an animal.
Well, all of that. I mean, it's really good. Like we have a tool. It's called when we look through Giant, the tools, vocabulary, a bunch of it. There's the influence model, and really what you're talking, like most, I'd say, leaders think we show up to get bonuses and to crush our quotas, and some do, right? Some really do, and their mission every day is to show up and over-deliver and really go out, and that's amazing. But there are 72% of our community that walks around every day, and they are, if we don't know this, we need to learn this. This is part of the five voices framework, but they are present-minded. And their world and their key decisions are either based on people, relationships, and values, or scalable systems, processes that do not waste, that are not waste prone. Like, we know the system works, we've pushed the button, and why are we going to like take this beautiful treasure of the history that we've built and this legacy that we've built and throw it all away on a gamble of a future vision? Like 70+% of the population thinks that way every day. But 18% of the population lead them from a place, and I'll get to the other piece here in a second, but the 18% typically lead the others, and they're all future voiced. Like, they wake up today thinking about what's going to happen in 3 years, and when the bonus comes in, and when we hit our quotas, and when we've gotten to scale, and when I get to sell my shares, and like all those things. And we haven't looked at the KPI. Like, they're really thinking about the KPIs, you know. They're really, I'm going to maximize, I don't want to get out there, but they're not looking at the key people indicators. And really, when it comes down to it, you are wired in such a way where you look for competence and credibility, or you're looking for character and chemistry. Like, we all have this wall of self-preservation that's up. We've been running, you know, we've got this little thing in the back of our head here, right? We've all been running from dinosaurs or whatever. We're trying to protect ourselves, right? Like, we know a lot of bad things can happen in this world. And when you walk up to me at a trade show or on the street and you just start like telling me everything about your life and your story, and like, hey, do you want to get a coffee? Like, I'm immediately like, whoa, 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 because I'm a competence and credibility person. I'm like, okay, I don't need we're talking about how do we calibrate our communication. Like, there are certain percentages that say, you know, character and chemistry. Do I like you? I don't care if you don't have an ounce of knowledge about a thing. I like you. I'm going to put you in this role because I believe in you and I know where you want to go. Or you are the most competent person in the world, most credible person. You have the most letters behind your name and all those things. But at the end of the day, I know you're a jerk to 90% of my people. Get out.
Yeah.
Right? So there's this wall of self-preservation, and we all walk around with it. And depending on how we're wired in our natural state, not how the world kind of taught me I needed to be an extrovert. And I knew that's where my next paycheck and my next meal for my family and everything came from. But if I really want to get to the nuance of it all, I need to be on the character and chemistry side so that I can really come in and show my competence and credibility. Like, people say, well, how can I use this stuff? I just want to learn this stuff for sales. And you can. Like, you can absolutely crush if you really look at the percentage of the population, how people are wired. This, you know, we have demographics and you have graphics. If we really get into that part, it's character and chemistry play a big part. Do we know that your brand's holistic? Do we know that it really does try to solve all my problems, and not for a paycheck, but for my real pain, and how quickly can you do it, and how are your people cared for, and all those things. So if we don't calibrate that for every person in the room, instead of just looking at it, we go back to the labels. Everybody's a creative pioneer just like me, and this is what I expect. Like, I've missed 90% of the room. And being able to get them, even though they may love my vision in such a way, all I've hit them with is competence, credibility. Competence, like this, we do this, and we do this, and we do this. And they're like, do you not realize that I haven't seen my family in like 2 weeks, and I'm a big family guy. I haven't been to the lake in 4 months because I'm stuck here, whether it be in this office or, you know, on a crane or whatever it is. I'm in this box. And you want me to be my very best? I need to be on the lake, man. Like, I need to know that you and me are having lunch together, and you know a little bit about my boat.
Yeah.
And then I'll be at my best.
And then I'll be energized because
Exactly.
technically it's 8 hours of my day. Some spend 12, some spend 16. I mean, some people have contests of how many hours they put in this week at work, and like it's awesome. I know what that feels like to try to win that race, but if you are left with zero in the tank, how are you going to care for that? You remember my believer husband, father?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like then I'm a founder of an organization and caring for my people. And then there's a community out there that I also have to serve too. Mm-hmm. If I give it all away every day for XYZ or Acme, whatever, what do I have left as a father? What do I have left as a husband? What do I have left for myself? And how am I even recharging?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not going to be passionate about any of it because you don't have anything left in the tank to be passionate about.
No, you can't give what you don't possess. And if you don't have energy, you can't.
Say,
Like you just
absolutely
can't. Like we try to every day we show like the accidental leader shows up trying to pull people up a mountain that they don't even have energy to climb anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're burnt out, they're abdicating, they don't have the right people around them. Like they've been protecting them for so long that now if they go have the real conversation, it's this big emotional outburst and things like go sideways and everybody in the room, whether it's, where is this coming from? You've been telling me I've been doing what I need to do and hitting my, key performance indicators all the way through, or indexes all the way through. And now all of a sudden you're telling me that I'm not even half the person I need to be in this role. Wait a minute, where did we go wrong? How long have you been lying to me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, well, I was just trying to protect. Like, I didn't really want, well, if you would have told me that 6 months ago, like, give me the challenge that I need instead of all this support that I'm awesome, and then backdooring me and having this one conversation that tears down 6 months of invested time, talent, treasure that we spent together. Man, what a transactional leader you are.
Yeah. We just talked about this in South Carolina when we presented. Yeah. We talked about this, and I think it comes from Dave Ramsey. I've heard him say it several times, EntreLeadership. But to be honest is to be kind.
Amen.
Is that the right phrase?
Yeah.
To be dishonest is to be unkind.
It's transparency. You're being a transparent individual that's able to communicate what they desire in a world and how people can either rally around it or decide not to.
Yeah. But if someone is not performing well, you don't just and we've talked about this. People have bad days. There's sometimes you have something that you go through personally and it affects your work life, and that's understandable. But if day in and day out you're not having good days, as a leader, you can't just keep sweeping that under the rug hoping they get better. You have to be honest.
And once again, like I think it comes back down to, and maybe this is the educator side, always bringing it back to this point about the relationship component of it. Like it's knowing the people around you, knowing what it is that they need to recharge. Why do you know the why? Is the organization, maybe in the end, the organization is not the best fit for them. Mm-hmm. And their role would be actually, they would thrive somewhere else and be able to have that candid conversation to say, like, I know what you are passionate about. Mm-hmm. And like, we've talked about what you're passionate about. And I think you're not getting to what you're passionate about here, which is a much better conversation than trying to like push somebody through and then at the last minute you chop their world from underneath of them. Like, no, you're actually not excelling here.
I had a young man that worked for us several years ago, and he worked part-time, and he was getting burnout, and I knew it, and he knew it, and so anyway, I brought him into my office. It's been several years ago. I brought him in my office and I sat him down and I said, what are you passionate about? And I knew he liked cars. And I said, what makes you happy? And he does gaming, online gaming and things. And he told me, it's the gaming and cars. So what's your dream? Do you want to own a supercar someday? Yes, I want to own a supercar someday. And I said, what are you going to do to get it? And we sat there in my office and had probably a 30-minute conversation about what he needed to do, to what he was passionate about, what he needed to go after. It wasn't here at the time. It wasn't with our company in that position. And so he left for a couple of years and went and did his own thing. He started his own business and did that for a while. And then, and again, he was young. He went back to school for some things, and then he kind of settled down and he came back to me, and he sat down with me. He said, I really miss working here. He said, I didn't want to do what I was doing, but I like to drive for you. And his dad drives for us. And he said, I've watched my dad over the last 5 years that he's worked for you, and he loves it, and I love it. I love to hear him talk about it. And so he went and obtained a CDL, and he now drives for us, and he does a fantastic job, and he loves what he does. And so anyway, just
giving people space and
Yes.
time where their life is
yes,
at that moment
there
in
was
time.
there was no hard feelings. There was no, I knew he wasn't happy. He knew he wasn't happy at the time doing what he was doing. And so we sat down and kind of had a brainstorm of what makes you happy.
I think it's important as a leader that you, that people know themselves, know who you are as a person. We talked about that earlier with the Giant program, is knowing yourself. And
Yeah.
maybe the young man needed the space and time to get to know, what is it actually I want? Who am I as a person? What am I passionate about? Finding that space. And being able to embrace that, knowing that, what areas do I need to work on? What areas do I need to, keep striving for? But I think it is, yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We all have, they're hardwired in us. We have those, I talked about the character, chemistry, competence, credibility, but we have to know that at the end, it's really an infinity loop. If we looked at the Know to Lead tool, is literally we all have tendencies that are hardwired in us. They are all hardwired in that, when this happens to me, I am going to have an action. Mm-hmm. For every action comes a reaction, right? We're constantly in motion. So every time I react that way, or there's this action, there's patterns that happen over time that people start to see. If this happens, then there's this tendency that you'll get this action. Well, all those actions have consequences in the world, whether it's positive or negative. Some people are going to receive it as, yeah, that's a real leader. They stood up and, they let them have it, because we don't have time for all this child's play stuff. And then, you know what? If that stays over and over and over again, so, tendencies, actions, patterns, and then we get into consequences, okay, how long have we been fighting in a positive state? How long have we been fighting in negative state? And then that consequent becomes our reality if we keep doing it over and over again. We're on a hamster wheel of, once again, being a label, not a language of this is how you have to operate. Mm-hmm. And it's an infinity loop. And if we're over here on the other side and our reality is such that we don't feel like we're waking up every day, it's a tool, go, okay, reverse engineer it. Just go, what is my reality right now? What's it like to be on the other side of me? What am I not happy with? And then let's reverse engineer this of how does that manifest itself? What am I feeling internally when whatever the action or action or the room is speaking? What's my immediate action that comes out of that? And if I keep doing that over and again, what are the consequences to all the relationships? Which one do I need to move on the slider bar a little bit? Yeah. Do I need to get to know him a little more? Do I need to do this? But it's really being a liberating leader and fighting for the highest. And you have to fight for your highest possible good, but you have to fight for the highest possible good of those you lead. And that's really getting down to a place where how a person likes to receive support and challenge. Mm-hmm. Depending on how it all sets itself up, do you always lead with challenge? Which means we got to get this done right now, and here's the deadline, and if you don't, then there's consequences. There are people who thrive in that. Mm-hmm. But then there's the other side of, hey, I just want to let you know that you're a valuable part of the team, and that we appreciate you being here every day and bringing what you do, the dedication. But here's some things I know where you want to go. I know where you want to go, and here's the destination that you seek, but here's where you're leaking influence all over the place that does not allow us to get you there. Let's build a program, or let's build a game plan on how we set you up for success. Mm-hmm. Or it's that hard part of that transparency of right now, I know you want to make it you want to summit and you want to be the CEO, but there's 4 people back in line. Mm-hmm. but I want to raise you to be the best possible version of you, which is hopefully better than me. That maybe this spot in our organization isn't going to happen, but I know somebody who needs you, and I'm willing to transfer you even out of my circle on my team to get you where you need to go. And when we start making those investments, we've really started to create a community that's vested. You're not fighting for you're not being transactional at that point.
No,
that person really,
you've gone beyond that.
Yeah, you've gone beyond it, and you say, you know what, maybe this isn't the place for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not just going to push you out and say, good luck. I know 3 other business leaders who would love to have you on their team. And I'm just getting clarity here if it's okay that I go out and ask them if they could join your team. I know what the answer will be, but I need to get it. I need to have the conversation with you first before I go say, hey, there's another job for you over at, Acme Company XYZ, and you start there next week. Like, they have the role to play in that. But if we can finally say, like, we know where they want to go, and we know how they like to receive the support and challenge, and we know where they're leaking influence, and we can have those real conversations up front, that, being honest and that being transparent, man, things change real quick. And that's where I think if we don't calibrate it for the individual that's across from us, and we're always like, there's a question of, if I can't do that, what am I afraid of losing? What am I trying to hide? And what do I have to fear? And that comes back to you, my friend. Like, it comes back to you.
Right.
Your self-preservation of what are you afraid is going to happen if this conversation goes like not the way you want it to.
Yeah.
Because we always think that the conversations, like how long do we spend in these this mind circle and this infinity
loop?
South. I'm going to plan this exact conversation. I'm going to have this conversation with my dad, and I'm really going to sit down over these 40 plus years. I've really been thinking this, like the first 3 words out of your mouth go sideways, and then the entire conversation is you trying to catch up and you trying to apologize and you in reverse because something, like, they didn't process it and you didn't calibrate it for them. It all sounded like it was for you.
Yeah.
So
that's a great word, calibration, because I definitely think that's a key piece with your employees and with the people that you're working with, and the people that are around you in general, is like calibrating, because you have to know who that individual is, their strengths, all of those things, if you are going to grow as an organization. Because like we said, and I don't mean to keep going back to that, if it's not the right fit, you want to help them find another space, not in an ugly manner, but in a space because you honestly want that person to grow. It's not about keeping them there, because I have seen people, and I have done it myself, that I have kept employees back from their potential because it was about me. It was about me as a leader. I didn't want to lose them. I didn't want to lose that gifts and talents, but in trying to keep them, they became miserable. This making me miserable, the organization, but then also like holding them back from like what their potential was. So I think it is. I like that word, calibration, and then also fighting for the highest possible good of the team.
Yes.
Team,
organization, community, whatever. Like, what is the intent here, and what's my role? I can't solve every problem. What's in my circle of influence that I get to say, this is how this happens. Like, I love and value the input. I'm the one that owns this. I own this decision. Or do I just have some influence in it? Like, we're going to have this community conversation, or we're going to have this board conversation, or whatever it is, a team conversation that I do not lead. They're going to listen to me, but at the end of the day, I can't process it I can process it in a negative way if I really want to get hung up on, what didn't I deliver, and trying to be a perfectionist. But if you try to take and own everything that is yours, what you have some influence in, and then you try to run a whole bunch of decisions that have nothing to do with you, I mean, where's the energy at for anything else? And we typically like to look out here of like, well, I want to be able to one that shapes this future and says these things, and I want to get up here, but we're not even processing it here first. And that's where we can get in a lot of trouble, where we, there's a prayer about it, right? Of please grant me.
Yeah.
We know that I need to know what I am in charge of today.
Yeah.
And I know that I don't rule any of these relationships. I know where they want to go, and I'm building a perfect game. Like, I can build them the best game plan in the world, but I don't get to play the game. Like with my softball, I didn't even talk about that. Like, I don't get to play the game anymore. As much as I want to go and put my cleats back on and, hit high outside fastballs, to opposite field, like, I don't get to do that anymore. I just don't. But I have 11 amazing young women that are some going in, some's going to have their freshman year of softball now. Some are going to have Cub for 8th grade. But if I'm equipping them to be comfortable where they're at and comfortable with their role and where and they're not trying to be the whole team. Mm-hmm. Like softball's not. If you have a really good pitcher and a really good catcher, you can win some tournaments. But like, there's always going to be that one batter that sticks the bat out, knocks something in, into a gap, gets a couple extra bases. There's a pass ball here or whatever, and there's going to be a run that scores. Mm-hmm. And when that one bad thing happens, if it becomes a whole bunch of this, and this, and everybody doesn't know how that all accumulated for not you personally, but the scoreboard. Like we don't scoreboard watch. We look at attitude, effort, and action. And if we do those things at the best of our ability, attitude, effort, and action, we know the proper attitude, that we know ourselves to lead ourselves. We know, Molly to lead Molly. We know McKenna to lead McKenna, and we know how they all play. When they're under pressure, they trust the process. Mm-hmm. They practice. We try to make it harder at practice, like most coaches now, than what it is in the game. So we say we work really hard Monday through Friday, so Saturday and Sunday's easy. Mm-hmm. We put them under that pressure, and we know their role. They know their roles and responsibilities. Attitude is just keeping the right mindset and not going negative. Actions are how do we implement the little tactical things? How do we do the little things and make sure that we hold those the most important? Yeah. How do we work on our footwork? How do we work on timing of the pitcher? How do we, how are we always, at a certain level in the dugout and making sure that we're continuously talking each other up? And, attitude, effort, and then you get action. That's how it all applies. And those are really our results of what that looks like. So if we know how to calibrate that, and each person knows, then I don't have to play the game. And I mean, as much as sometimes we have parents and grandparents and other siblings that are outside going, why isn't this person doing what they're supposed to do or whatever, I just don't have those conversations.
Yeah.
Like, I will have it with the player and say, hey, I know you want to be here, and here's your final destination. I know you want to be a D3 shortstop, or I know you want to be a D1 first baseman with a power bat and DH, or maybe even a DH. Okay, here's what we got to work on. And if you're that role on my team, I can't pull a left fielder out because they've missed 2 pop flies because you think you can go do that. Like, you haven't been. That is not yours, and we're just not going to do that. So let's talk about where you're at, and let's give you the ability to be comfortable under an extreme amount of pressure, and you have the responsibility and the authority to do your job. Most of the time, as leaders, we give them the responsibility to do the job, but we don't give them the authority. We say, hey, we want you to plan the party, but every table napkin, bring the table napkins to me so I can decide if it's cloth, if it's paper. Oh, yeah, it has to be this color code. And then if we're going to do florals, let's make sure they're all daisies and white, not pink. Like, why do we?
You might as well do it.
They're like, what? Like, okay, what part did you want me to do again? Like, okay.
Yeah.
So how valuable am I to you?
Yeah.
Like, AI could do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So empowering people to excel. I mean, you are really empowering your team to the young ladies to excel. Like, and take responsibility for their own life. Like, they can only control themselves. You can't control them. Their parents, those other players, the other individuals. Like, you are empowering that individual to excel. And I think that's oftentimes overlooked. We don't realize like how much we do or we don't empower people to excel. And I sometimes we surround ourselves, and it's interesting, we surround ourselves with the same, I say we, but I used to when I first like moved into a leadership role. I surrounded myself with people who I thought like kind of like me, but I realized that was a control piece. Like, because I was trying to control the whole picture, like this dream that I had of like winning the baseball game, right? This dream of winning, like I was trying to control it. But then by doing that, all the people around me, like they were not excelling. Like, because I was putting a team around me that was just,
And you
I was just telling, I
because you
wasn't
didn't have
excelling. No, because I didn't have the pushback. I didn't have it. I just had yes people.
Yeah.
And people then who burned out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's really like empowering the team, like to excel, empowering people to excel.
Well, this has been really good, but we are out of time. We need to wrap this one up. So
Yes.
We are out of
So-
we are out of
Goes
time.
fast.
it goes really quick. Shawn,
Wow.
thank you so much. Very good stuff, and thank you again for allowing us to use your studio. And we look forward to the next one. And yeah, thank you all for watching.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank
yes.
you.
Zach, Jared, appreciate the opportunity. It's always great to talk.